Well, folks, the economy's in the crapper. British Airways is asking people to work for free. Catherine Sabellis is telling the children to line up for the swine flu shot. First come, first serve. They're actually going to be turning the schools into makeshift shot centers. Oh, that's going to be lovely. We're just going to have the whole neighborhood come in, and don't think they're not going to be threatening you, saying your kid must take it to attend school. These are just some of the headlines that are out there. Can you believe this? British Airways asking their staff, their entire staff, to work for free for a month. How do you survive working free for 30 days? How do you pay your bills? How do you support your family? I mean, this is just disgusting. First of all, the airlines are charging an exorbitant amount of money for their services. You have to pay $25 now to bring a bag onto the plane. That's both ways. It's either that's one bag. You know, that's a $50 add-on. They said it was because of the gas. Oh, the gas prices. We need to do this for the gas. Well, the gas went down, and those fees never stop. Now British Airways asked staff to work for free. British Airways has asked its 40,000-person staff to work without pay for up to a month. Up to a month. Again, folks, there's only 12 months in a year. Can you imagine? This is almost, I mean, this is like almost a tenth of somebody's salary. Gone. Cut off. How are they supposed to survive? The group, which made a record $401 million loss in 2008 amid surging fuel prices and collapse in premium fare passengers, is seeking to reduce costs dramatically and has already offered staff unpaid leave or reduction in hours. You know, the economy all around us is really getting to a crashing point. And there was a couple of mainstream articles out there today talking about how Russia and Europe are meeting for the collapse of the global economy, but there's no Westerners in there. We'll get to that later as well. You know, we tell you that everything you do on the internet is literally tracked, traced, and databased along with what you do on your cell phone. Well, this is out of the New York Times only moments ago. Extent of email surveillance renews concerns in Congress. The National Security Agency is facing renewed scrutiny over the extent of its domestic surveillance program, with critics in Congress saying its recent intercepts of the private telephone calls and email messages of Americans are broader than previously acknowledged, current and former officials said. What do you mean it's broader? It has been open knowledge since January of 2006, that they have a secret room at all telecommunication companies. Let's say it again. A secret room at all telecommunication companies in this country that databases everything you do, every search you type in, every website that you're on, every IM you make. And then on top of that, your cell phone is surveilling you when you don't even know it. It just came out, I think we reported on it 2 weeks ago. When you use your iPhone and it has that little collapsing bar, it's actually taking a snapshot. That goes into your cache, that goes into your temporary folder, and if they want, and probably do because they probably track, trace, and database every single thing that goes on your phone. That doesn't mean that there's a human being listening. That means it goes through software like Promise or Carnivore, and then from there, it goes to actual intelligence officials. You know, when they find these keywords, these phrases, that's when it gets seen by human eyes or heard by human ears. And it's very dangerous because the infrastructure is only being built up, and away. That's why they're training the Boy Scouts to go after domestic terrorists, 14 to 17-year-olds. And what are they doing? They're carrying mock shotguns and mock rifles. And by the way, we're going to get into some new military technology that is just crazy. Where do you see this gun? It's basically curving bullets going through like something out of an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Where is it? I have so many stories in front of me, but it's just unbelievable. And you'll see those on the streets probably in 10 to 15 years with nice police officers in black uniforms. I mean, they're already so scared that we're going to go over multiple stories of them killing dogs, tasering a chihuahua, and then gunning it down. You got to be a real tough guy to see that chihuahua, you know, that 3-pound animal, as a physical threat. And after you tase the dog, it's just not enough. You got to put 2 in its head. It's unbelievable, but it's true. I mean, truth is stranger than fiction, folks. We're going to be back after this. We're going to take your calls this hour. Richard Gage coming up in the second hour, and then your calls in the third hour, 866-582-9933. Let's talk about this technopoly that is being just thrown in our faces at this point. It's the InfoWarrior.
The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small, nano-sized particle, supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at INFOWARRIOR.com.
I want to hit up these pretty important stories before we go to calls. Sabella says kids may get swine flu shots first. See, they're going to go after your kids, and they're going to go after you with color of law first. They're going to say your kids have to have it or they can't attend school. You see, we're in level 6. If you get the piggy flu, you could die. Oh, the dangerous piggy flu. School children could be the first in line for swine flu vaccine this fall. And schools are being put on notice that they might even turn into shot clinics. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sabellas, Little Miss Bilderberg herself, 2 years running, said Tuesday she is urging school superintendents around the country to spend the summer preparing for that possibility if the government goes ahead with mass vaccinations. This is something we reported on over 2 months ago. Meredith Vieira of the Today Show talking about a 3-spot shot flu where you have to take 3 mandatory injections. And remember, when you're under WHO level 6, UN international government programs, you don't have any individual human rights. You have quarantines. You have off-site drugs that don't have to work. You have compulsory vaccinations, all under the guise of international law and globalism, the greater good. Well, that's a bunch of Johnny nonsense. If you think about vaccinating kids, schools are the logical place, Sabellas told the Associated Press. No decision has been made yet on whether how to vaccinate millions of Americans against the new flu strain that the WHO last week formally dubbed a pandemic. First time in 41 years. Let me repeat that, 41 years. Meaning it is now circulating the globe unchecked. But the U.S. is pouring money into development of vaccine in its anticipation of giving at least some people the shots. Remember, they're planning on 4.9 billion vaccinations. There's, 6 billion people in the world. 4.9 billion vaccinations. Put that in your head, okay? That's 5 out of every 6 of us. 5 out of every 6 of us are supposed to take this shot. And if you don't think they're going after the Westerners first, you're wrong. Meanwhile, out of the Mayo Clinic, only like 2 weeks ago, they did, it was out of Minnesota, they did a study. Oh, if you take the flu vaccine, you're only 3 times more likely to get the flu. Only 3 times. Yeah, inject me. That sounds great. I'm going to pay you to inject me with something that's 3 times more likely to get me sick. And this is going to be on a whole nother level. They're hyping this up beyond hype. They got pigs on the cover of magazines, CFR members saying that if you think that this could be, genetically engineered, you hate the Jews. Go watch the Colbert Report clip. It's just beyond disgusting. Want to shift gears here. I was talking about this Army rifle. New Army rifle fires laser-guided smart bullets with onboard targeting chips. Yeah, you think you're going to have a shot with militias against this kind of a military? This is out of popsci.com, and it is unbelievable. You look at it, first of all, they gear it up. So it's pretty much cloaked with the soldier. It would be hard to describe a bullet as smart, but what if that bullet was laser guided? You know what this reminds me of? I can't remember which Schwarzenegger flick it is, guys, but it's the one where he has the fight with the alligator, and it's with Vanessa Williams, the former Miss America. And it's not a great Arnold Schwarzenegger picture, but he basically, which one? It's not True Lies. True Lies is way cool, man. True Lies is the one with, what's his name? Tom Arnold, your best buddy, the guy who did your phone message there. Anyway, this one, in the movie, basically what it did is it heat sinked the entire house. He could see with the heat sinking goggles. We already have that in the military. And then the bullets would go through walls, and they would be seeked as well, and they would hit the people. And this movie could only be maybe, I want to say it's about 15 years old. It was a decent one. Hopefully I'll find the article. But from fiction, from sci-fi to reality, here it is. It's hard to describe a bullet as smart, but what if the bullet was laser-guided, radio-controlled, and carried an onboard targeting CPU? The U.S. Army has announced the creation of the XM25 rifle, which can fire a new type of explosive round that fit that exact description. Imagine the implications. Hitting targets inside buildings or hiding around the walls. Whoa. First, the scope of the rifle has a laser that gauges the distance to the target. The soldier then can set exactly where the 25mm bullet will detonate by adding and subtracting 3 meters from that point. Then the scope will send a radio signal to a chip inside the bullet, telling it how far it should travel before exploding. Now here's where things get truly nuts. Each bullet has a small magnetic transducer that interacts with the Earth's magnetic field, generating a tiny alternating current every time it spins as it speeds towards the target. Measured against the gun's specialty calibrated rifling, this means the bullet can keep track of how far it has traveled in real time. Whoa again. The Army has proposed the uses can range from hitting enemies hidden in trenches, as pictured above, or even hitting a sniper hiding in a building by setting the range about a meter beyond that window.